What's going on?
Well, not too much. Done a little interesting speaking at the ACW municipality on, some horrible bylaws like clean yards bylaws. Yes, and having one of these, enjoying him right now.
Guess what this is?
Not a Heineken.
It's imported.
Ah, what's it like?
I don't know. It's a leftover beer that I bought at the airport when I was coming back to Canada, and they poured it a half hour early, so I didn't have time to drink it. I had to scarf down my sandwich, and I figured if I crack this now, it's almost a half liter. I'm probably gonna miss my boarding, so I figured, you know what? I'll smuggle it on the plane and smuggle it into the country. And if I start speaking Spanish, it's because of this beer.
Okay, but I just got to ask one thing. That looks like a communist red star. Oh, God. No, there I am. I disappeared a second. I was going to say it looks like it's the communist red star on that thing. What's up?
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on tonight. You're choppy as heck. I just blanked out for a second. Internet just doesn't like us tonight.
I don't know. It's good on my side. Mind you, my lights have been flickering tonight.
Yeah.
Anyways, lots going on. Before we bring on our guest, which will be in about 5 or 10 minutes, I want to talk about not handing in any guns, even if I did have guns that I don't, because I lost them all on a canoe trip. Flipped the canoe, guns went down on the bottom of the lake, and that was that. Apparently they've been trying to steal them from Canadians, right? With a gun ban.
Yeah, absolutely.
So what actually went down? I've heard reports that the CCFR has won this huge case, and they're taking all the responsibility for it and saying it wasn't for them, nothing would have happened. What do you know about this case?
Well, I know that simply is not true. So there were several separate applications by several individuals, and then the courts ordered them all to be one application. So everybody is one application. It's being challenged by many different angles. So it's not just the CCFR or us guys under Doherty. So it's several different associations. Businesses. So they all have their legal representation, but all of their issues are everybody is one application. So there is no separate application. There is no largest application. There's none of that. It's one application, and everybody who's involved, all the different parties have their own different issues. So there's no overlapping issues.
So what's with the case now? Like, if I had guns that were on the registry for being the ones that have been deemed unlawful, military style, some kind of bullshit designation?
It's all bullshit. What's a Ruger 1022 stock with its walnut stock, and then you take it and you put a pup stock. It doesn't change its rate of fire. It doesn't change anything. And how many soldiers do you see running around with a 22? And that's just bullshit. So that's the kind of garbage they've done. So what they've done in the U.S., what they started trying to do to get around things was they started banning ammunition, since they can't ban guns. So this is the same type of thing they're trying to do. You can't make modifications, and you can't, just changing a stock, so modification, all of a sudden it's assault style. Like it's there's no such thing, period. And there's no such thing as gun violence. Guns don't jump up on their own and start freaking mowing people down. That's all bullshit. That's all brainwash. Hey, here's a fun fact I bet you didn't know, or probably over 3/4 of our viewers didn't even know. Did you know Western movies? You remember the old Westerns? They're all having gunfights and all that. You know what those were all about?
Ponderosa,
Yeah, all of that stuff.
Hoss, Little Joe,
Yeah, yeah. The
Adam.
big banana hat, the 30-gallon hat, you know. You know what those westerns were meant to do? They were meant to fearmonger. They were created as propaganda to show that, oh, this is what it would be like if we didn't have laws and everybody was armed and you know, no. It's not like that in the States. You got gang fights in the States, but you tell me how many gang freaking members are carrying all legal handguns. Nobody. Same shit here in Canada. Nobody. So the one key thing that I can say here is the fact that seems we might have lost Charles. The one thing we've noticed here is that the Supreme Court did allow the appeal to go through, which is that in itself is like amazing because of the fact that the Supreme Court only hears about 40, 50 different cases. So we are now going to be heard. So this is a very good thing. I don't know if it's just me, but you keep cutting out on my end. You keep disappearing. I get the black screen. You come back. I keep blinking black and come back. So I don't know what's going on. How are you, Charles? Are you set? It's Bubba's fault. Bubba done it.
Yeah, she's eating a raw beef rib. Okay, so anyone that's got guns that's on that list, they do not have to hand them in right now?
No, their amnesty period, when it's up, I believe it is up now. But nobody's going around to collect. Now they're trying to get off-duty police officers to do it. So you had a time period to hand your gun in to be compensated, which is a ripoff because you're not being properly compensated. And not only that, but you had also the option to hold on to it, but you had to render that firearm inoperable. So you can still keep it. It just can't be used. So don't take your ARs to the range now or anything like that. You get caught on the way there, you're going to jail. And guess what? They'll stick you in jail longer than a pedophile does. And just for being a legal gun owner. So they just turned millions of law-abiding Canadians into criminals overnight. Thank you, Justin Trudeau, and Carnival Carney, and that stupid idiot safety minister that didn't even know what the hell a PAL was. So how can you have morons like that trying to make anything to do with guns or firearms?
Are you talking about Gary A. that's tied to the Tamil Tigers?
Yeah. Oh, yes, the terrorist. That's right. Did you know we have a terrorist safety minister? Because Tamil Tigers are declared a terrorist organization. But hell, we got a Tamil Tiger as our safety minister. So Canada, we literally have a terrorist for our safety minister. Congratulations, Canada. It's almost as good as the standing ovation we gave the Nazi SS in Parliament. This fucking country is such an embarrassment. I'm embarrassed.
All right, I'm going to share the screen here. I'm going to make an announcement, guys. Monique asked me to put this out there. Moms Resist is going to Dundas Square again, April 11th, 2026, from 2 to 5 p.m. A peaceful North America-wide march to end child trafficking and exploitation. So they're kind of tying up with the big organization in the States, and it's spreading across Canada now.
Yeah, do you think it's smart, though, to go Dundas again? You know, we got to start going right to the legislature, right to Queen's Park. That's where they are making the legislation. Their control there. That's where our elected idiots are. That's where we start having to go and do our protests there. So they see us and they see the numbers because they're not small numbers. They're big numbers. And they hate having to stare down an angry freaking mob, especially if there's moms and survivors in there. It's time to drive that point across to them.
First, we got to organize the mob. Then we take the mob down to Queen's Park. You got it?
No, I said moms, not mobs.
Well, I wouldn't want to be around thousands of angry moms and dads. I'll tell you that much. So it's not just moms; it's everybody.
Correct. It's everyone, males, females, whatever you like, children, survivors. That's the best stuff there. They can speak firsthand. Speaking of survivors, Ed, we just so happen to have one tonight.
Ready to bring Charles on? Give me a thumbs up if you're ready to come in. All right. Welcome to the lounge, and we're gonna switch here.
Evening.
Good evening.
Good evening, Charles. How are you? How's it going, brother?
I'm good. How about you guys?
It's going good. Just having a beer, relaxing. Finally.
There you go. It's always good to have a good beer at the end of the day.
Yeah, absolutely. Um, yeah, can everybody hear Charles all right?
Yeah, I just played with his mic settings.
Well, all right. That's okay. Good, good. So,
Which is
Charles, what year did you attend Robert Land Academy?
so I was actually at Robert Land from 1998 to 2002. So I was at the transition period of the school when it was going from somewhat, I would say, somewhat of the old generation into the new generation kids and the new generation of what the school was about to become. In that respect, there's many aspects that I need to touch on that part, but I'm probably one of the individuals that kind of pushed change towards my latter years of the school, of my time at the school, that is.
So I guess I would be the generation before that generation, since I'm going way back to the 81, 83 era. Uh, but
Yeah, so you're basically the generation that kicked off the school. I'm the one that kind of started kicking the ball down the road where litigation and such started actually in the early 2000s, believe it or not. The reason why nobody's ever heard of it is because it was dropped. So I do have, so I bring some information to the table and some stuff that most people don't know, but there's enough that I have that I carry both sides of both sides of the table.
yeah, so I do recognize there were some cases along the way before this all started. I've read a few of them, and interesting,
Yeah.
interesting stuff. But so tell me, how was your experience there? How was, just go ahead and tell your story.
So I'm just gonna back up. I was born in '84. I was raised in Children's Aid Society of Eastern Ontario. At the time, it was the United Counties of Stormont, Dundas, and Glengarry Children's Aid Society. Adopted in '91, and then I've actually gone through two schools in the history of this country that have been legitimately shut down due to abuse allegations. One being Grenville Christian College out of Brockville, Ontario, which is now currently shut down due to litigation and lawsuit allegations as well. And then Robert Land Academy in 1998 to 2002. Now, I was adopted in '91, but I was dumped back into the system in the summer of 1998. Meaning, I was a Crown Ward when I was sent to Robert Land Academy, which has huge implications. Taxpayer dollars actually sent me there for 4 years. So when I attended the school in 1998, I had no idea what to expect. I did do an admissions interview with a specific captain who's now retired, and Bowman's son, one of Bowman's sons, actually did the tour for me of the academy. My first year at the academy was quite rough. I walked into the school at 60 pounds, 4'8", 60 pounds soaking wet. The first day I was there, I got face planted into gravel because I had told a staff sergeant or a sergeant, you need to get my name right. He was calling my name wrong, and I just turned around and said, listen, you got three chances. Like, get my name right, guys. I'm not going to tolerate this. I was a no nonsense sort of individual, and I was already heading down a road of problems. But because I had been raised through the system, those problems were already there. When I, so by the end of my first year, I was in grade 9. they stuck a grade 9 kid with the grade 12s, the grade 11, 12, and OAC. At the time, it was OACs, which was grade 13. They threw me in with the senior guys about halfway through the year. Now, to be honest with you, that's not something I would say was should have been advisable, considering nobody knew at the school, or at least senior staff did. Senior staff knew I was CAS. The lower staff didn't, and they did not know until my third year when Children's Aid Society sent two representatives to the school. I was in a weight pack, coveralls. Just came from the back 40 from digging a hole, essentially my grave. Sat down in Oak Group, like literally at the table where they do Oak Group, and two CAS workers were right across from me, and they sat there and they looked at me and said, "What are you wearing?" Within about 20 minutes of that conversation happening, I was put back into my regular everyday Robert Land Academy uniform and told, go to school, like go to classes. They had ripped Bowman a new one, and they had no idea what was going on. Now, with that being said, I do have litigation before the courts at this point. Now, CAS is now culpable and liable to prove that they did not know. With that being said, my 4 years at the school were very rough, very challenging. I do have a report, and I'm going to say this openly because I have spoken about it numerous times to other alumni. Back in '01, there was a report that was sent to the Board of Governors, which I authored. I am the only author of it, which detailed every single bit of punishment from charge parades right up to headmaster's charges, the form of discipline, the type of discipline you get on each charge parade or whatever the individual doles out. Individual staff members, I named names, I took names and named them in this document. This made it way all the way to the Board of Governors. The Board of Governors deemed a panel to be started or an investigation, and then there was a panel. That panel consisted of two board members, two administrative staff, one staff member, and one member of the family guild at the time, which was an actual parent of a student. And I know who that is, who was on that board. Um, every student was walked in, questioned, told to leave, go to Fitzgibbon Hall, which was Bowman's old farmhouse down the road, which they had moved up toward back Royalist Hall. Every staff member, every student was questioned. What came out of that was basically nothing. It was whitewashed. The board basically swept it underneath the rug and basically said, "There's nothing to see here." When that investigation basically did that, that kicked off a lawsuit. There was a class action lawsuit back in the early 2000s, and I remember being told this because I was going to be a witness in that lawsuit. It was dropped about 2.5 months later. Now, for what reasons, I do not know. Money, maybe. Hush hush stuff. I don't know. It was dropped. With that being said, I don't know any further details in regards to that. But other than that, my time at the academy was very, very challenging. So, you guys have any questions? I'm more than willing to take any, or if anybody has comments.
Yeah, I'm kind of surprised that this stuff was allowed to happen back in 2002 to 2006, apparently.
So, right up until '06, Bowman was actually in charge of the academy up until '06. And yes, that's when things really started to change. It was just after I'd left. A bunch of staff members actually left after I left. I left in February of '02, finished my schooling in public school, and it was not good. I ended up because I had been out away from the public system and I had not been integrated into society properly. I barrel rolled into the jail system. Um, in fact, my first charge was at Robert Land. I beat the crap out of one of the staff members because he picked me up and body slammed me into a puddle, and I just started throwing knuckle sandwiches at his face. Like, you don't pick up a kid and just choke slam him into a puddle. So I got my first charge was a juvenile charge through Robert Land. I sat for about a month and a half in Barton Street Jail in Hamilton before the school bailed me out, not realizing that it was a CAS problem. Now CAS was going to get involved. After that, I spent the last 20 years going in and out of prison. Not the last 20 years. Sorry, I got my pardon about 6 years ago. But that school did me no favors. None. Zero.
Well, I just got to say, congratulations, and I'm glad you kicked the shit out of whoever you kicked the shit out of. I know I would have loved to do that, but I was only 11. You know, they just throw me around like nothing. But at least you got some licks in, and good on you. Anybody should defend themselves if they're being attacked, especially by monsters like that. And you know, that seems to be a reoccurring theme. I know Stephen Harper with the Conservative Party ran a pilot project there as an alternative to going to jail. They were sending young kids to the academy instead. That ended up being a total failure, and after a year, they stopped that project, that pilot project, and it turned out everybody that attended for that year, everybody ended up back in prison. So that's a common thing where people end up in prison in and out from
Well,
abuse.
from my standpoint, coming in as a Children's Aid Society individual, coming in from the standpoint of an individual controlled by the government, I don't know. I can't say for sure what the other guys. So enough of the kids went there were from the juvenile system. Now there's other things at play at the academy, and because I have litigation, I kind of got to be careful about what I say here. There was a handful of us that were also selected to do pharmaceutical. Uh, it wasn't pharmaceutical. Well, they're pharmaceuticals, but it was a test drug from a pharmaceutical company out of Toronto, and the pill was called Synergy. About six of us we were selected in the academy to do or for this test drug. So there was other things at play at the academy. There was other things at play at
Just,
the academy.
just for a second there, if I can just jump in, you say
Sure.
selected. Was that you volunteering or you being voluntold?
Voluntold, you're going to take this pill. We're going to test it on you for a number of months free of charge, and the families were informed of this. Now I have a document that is with my counsel that says after this trial run or phase ended that they could have continued giving me this pill at a cost of almost $600 a month.
Wow, yeah. So there's definitely a problem with them doing that. That is incredible. So there was drug testing, is what they were doing on you for, and you having no choice over the matter. And to me, that's clearly wrong on so many levels. And you don't need to go any more detail. And if you're still in litigation with any of the other ones, besides of the ones we're in. I wouldn't suggest going into evidence-wise stuff. Just basically stick to what your pleadings are in the lawsuit and what's
Oh,
been.
that's what I plan on.
Yeah, all right, okay. Just making sure.
The other thing is there's been a lot of talk about the Canadian Armed Forces involvement with the academy. I'm just gonna clear this up with for many people who are watching. The armed forces did have a part to play in the academy, um, because oddly enough, one of the board members would have been a sitting member of the Canadian Armed Forces. The last one I know of was one of the prior headmasters' um, spouses. who was on the board before the academy closed. The one prior to that was a brigadier general who had retired just prior to that. So I believe it was around 2002, 2023 that he had retired, and it was a brigadier general who sat on the board. So the Canadian Armed Forces did have some part to play. The Lincoln Welland Regiment also partook in exercises on the academy grounds. This is known fact. They
Yeah, that was
also
huge.
they also did partake in the fall exes on some years. So the armed forces, that statement that they put out saying that they had no affiliation is a laugh. It really is. Where when you have a senior member of your rank and file as a sitting board member. Not only that, one of the CDSs, Detective, I forget, I think I butchered his name, but he was his CDS. He was awarded, he was given the Grant Award by the Academy.
What is the CDS?
Canadian Chief of the Defense Staff. So this is the top general of Canadian Armed Forces. This
So
was a
the
form. This is a
chief of
former.
chief of defense staff. Is that what you said?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. CDS. He was the chief of the defense staff. He had retired and had been given the Brant Award. It was like 3 years ago before the academy closed. He was given the Brant Award. This is a former CDS. So there's members of the utmost senior staff who did know about this school, who did partake in specific activities. So
And they were
there's
running the
questions.
school, right? Being on the board of governors, they were running the school. And correct me if I'm wrong. I don't remember the last name, but there was also a female when at the time that it did close down. I don't know if it was Sims or Smid or something like that. There was a,
Smid.
yeah, okay, was
You
that
got
a,
you got the right name. So like I said, that was a spouse. That was the spouse of a former headmaster who sat on the
right?
board.
So and she is current uh, active duty military. So
She's a lieutenant colonel in the second RCHA.
there you go. So they, you know,
Don't worry, I've done my homework, guys. I've done my homework.
excellent, excellent. I'm just making sure I got the details right because, you know, to tell you the truth, when I was a little 11-year-old kid at that school, I didn't even know there was a board of governors. I didn't know anything about that. I'm just a freaking little
So
kid, right? The Captain Bowman. That's how I knew him.
back in the 80s, there wasn't really a board of governors. That did not materialize until the 90s. That wasn't until a specific student slash staff member, he became a student staff member in his later formative years. But his father helped out the school, and I'm sure you guys can figure out who I'm talking about. Um,
Yeah.
uh, with that being said, what was I trying to drive at here?
You were
The board of governors didn't materialize until the 90s. They kicked out Bowman in '07. They forced him out of basically out of his position.
so a little
And
hostile takeover.
yeah, and then there was a guy that came in. He was trying to turn it into a Christian academy almost. He came from the Christian school, and there was Christian values about to be pushed in their face. And then they went a couple of different ways. So he was the next one, and then took over, and then Stock is the last guy. Now I don't know for the last four headmasters what the problems were on campus. I was a part of the alumni committee, which materialized when one of the former headmasters reached out to us. The only reason really I joined is because I was there for the boys. I was kind of concerned about how the academy had like what sort of discipline had come from my era. Because from what I understanding, the school had become a little more lax, and it did. But from my days on, it was different. So I'm going to give you a rundown of what my day was on my recruit course. 5 o'clock in the morning, do a block march, 10 kilometers, but you're dragging along a telephone pole. My recruit class had 68 guys. We were all dragging a telephone pole. There were a couple of guys who were a little over 300 pounds each. We also carried them. Um, and then you would go into PT, breakfast, PT again, then eat, then learn drill, learn how to do your kit etiquette. So it was sort of like a military regiment sort of thing, but the way they drove at you was very far from um civilized. It was very close, like you were literally doing corporal punishment, legalized corporal punishment. One of the disciplinary actions while I was at the academy, and I don't know if anybody prior to me has ever done it, which was called CTS, and that stands for Correctional Training Squad. This is the worst of the worst punishment you
It,
could possibly get.
it was called what? I didn't really hear it. What did it stand for?
CTS stands for Correctional Training Squad.
All right, so that's your version of your time. At my time, it was called the Goon Squad.
Yeah, okay. So if you were put on headmaster's charge, and this had to have been like you must have done something absolutely stupid or outrageous to get this sort of discipline. If you were given CTS, you were given a 45-pound rucksack, which you had to wear 24 hours a day, 7 days a week until you were told not to wear it. You slept with it, you ran with it, you ate with it, you did everything with this thing. The other thing on top of it, you got 15 minutes of sleep every hour, woken up, kit, phys PT, this, that, the other thing. Go back to sleep. And it was just repetitive. Some guys got a week of it, some guys got 2 weeks of it. Um, there's some things that were different from obviously each generation, but the way it was designed was not. I've seen videos of American military schools, and they don't even go down the road that we did at all.
Even the Canadian military is nothing like this. So it's just straight abuse here. That's what that
Yeah.
school is.
So they pushed everybody to almost a breaking point.
Abuse? It sounds more like torture to me.
It's like a
Well,
concentration camp.
yeah. So the funny thing is back in I believe it was 2000. Um, I can't remember how this happened. It was either '01 or 2000 or '01. But I actually walked off campus and was allowed to do so. So basically, I signed myself out of the. I basically had enough. I basically said, "Screw you guys." Walked off campus, and two staff members drove me to Dunville, gave me $5, and I really needed a break from the place because it was insane. I walked back with a pack of cigarettes, just started smoking cigarettes while everybody was doing the triangle run. I'm just standing there going back to the academy, just smoking away. The other students were like, "What the fuck are you doing? Like, aren't you part of the academy?" I'm like, "No, I signed out." Once you sign out of the academy cannot touch you unless you come back the next morning talking to the headmaster. So when I arrived back at the academy, I had a duty officer standing in front of me saying, "You cannot step foot on here," or I was allowed to. They let me. And so you can't do any academy activities until you speak to the headmaster. I was like, fine. Took my last draw on the cigarette, threw it, and walked back on campus. But what they did was they put me on AWOL watch. So they put me on AWOL watch just because I signed myself out and came back to the academy saying, "Hey, I'm back. I just needed a break from you fucking idiots." you know. So it was something else. The academy was something else. It was not, and the fact that my parents in CAS uh, said, "Here, we're just gonna toss you here for a few years," it's scary.
Yeah, and given that you had did you tell your parents or CAS that you were subjected to pharmaceutical testing or anything like that?
Before, no, my parents were a part of the pharmaceutical testing. They had, because I was a Crown Ward, I had no say in the matter whatsoever. The government and my parents did. as a crown ward, you are not a crown ward. You have no say in anything. You are basically the property of the Ontario government until you're of age,
Uh,
unless
uh,
unless they offer you an extension, which they did in 1999. I was forced to sign an extension until I was 22. I went to sign. I went. My stepfather put a piece of paper in front of me on the hood of his car, and I actually went to flip over the document to read what it was. He said, "You don't need to worry about the rest of the sign here." And I looked at him. I said, "What am I signing?" He said, "You don't need to worry about it."
wow, that's just incredible.
Yes, yeah. So they basically had me under CAS. It was called Children's Aid Society Crown Ward Special Needs Assessment. I don't know what the hell it meant, but I was a Crown Ward until I was the age of 22. I'm 42 next week, so think about it that way. For almost half my life, I was the, I was in the custodianship of the government.
Well, I'm glad you've made it over our medium of age surviving, so that's a good thing. Keep up, keep going. And, I find this just uh, the way I look at it is I've looked over the history of the people in charge of that Robert Land Academy, and it's the PC party is continually in there, law enforcement's continually in there, Canadian military is continually in there. Um, and and what did you say? They wanted to turn it into Christian values and a
Yeah,
Christian.
so
Once they booted Bowman, this is where I'm going with this. I know for a fact the PC party, especially in Niagara West, is tied in with the Christian community, and I find it just very interesting that all of a sudden the Cantero gives it to this group that is again Christian, uh, and they're going to have like children go to this school, and but this is even younger children, 8 years old and younger, and I sure as hell hope that there's going to be watchdogs all over these people. I hope there's going to be inspections, and this is what I'm scared of. Why the PC party does not want to do what we're asking is because of that. And
well, you have to think of it this way. There's two things that I'm going to say here. Mike Harris's nephew also worked at the academy. Okay. Tim Hudak, obviously you know who he is, former PC leader. There's politicians and individuals that are tied to the academy that nobody realizes. The form CAS in Niagara Falls, the president of the CAS in Niagara Falls was the chief financial officer for the academy. There's ties all over the place.
funny you say that because if you look at the time period when I was going way back there, even before my time in '78 when it was founded, there was ties to a MPP and a certain child psychologist and a certain that were husband and wife with a tie to their son who ran a camp for disabled children. And you've seen how the funding went hand to hand and hand full circle, and that would just bring more children into the academy and more money going out there. So it was quite interesting that we've made all these connections. But okay, go ahead. Sorry, didn't mean to
No,
cut
no,
off.
that's fine. No, no, there's way too many connections to Children's Aid Society. There's way too many connections to the federal government. Way too many connections to the Ontario government. So the problem is that because these individuals are already established, like for instance, I have a picture of me at one of the galas with Christine Elliott, former health minister of Ontario. Like
Former
this
health
place,
minister and former deputy
premier.
premier. So
So like these I yes, I went back, but like to rub shoulders with these people and look them in the eye and say, "Hey, we're here for the better good of the academy," and then you're looking at them and you're like, "Really? How can you say that with a straight face?"
So no nepotism, or is it all nepotism?
Yeah.
All nepotism. And the sad thing about this is why I've said many times, if you want something screwed up, let the government do it. And at the end of the day, there's no accountability.
None.
And this isn't just here at Robert Land; it's other Christian colleges. And if you leave your phone the way it was, it's better.
Sorry.
I don't know if you're having a hard time reading the
I'm just
comments.
reading. I'm reading the chat. Yeah, I'm having a hard time reading the chat.
And this is
I
the
am
problem.
half blind. Sorry.
So this is the problem with government. There's no accountability, and as soon as someone gets elected that wants to hold people get accountable, they usually get booted out, or they get taken out one way or another. Because, especially in communism, nobody has to answer to anything or anybody. They just do what the hell they want, and the people like we're going to get jerked over. Think what's going to happen now? They're crashing the economy, and people are going to be hungry. They're going to be food shortages coming. It's got a lot to do with this war that's going on in Iran. You got oil coming down, 30% of the fertilizer. I know, Stefanos, you think it doesn't make a difference, but I think it makes a big difference. Fertilizer for farms, keep the yields up, keep the prices down. So expect to see food prices keep rising. Our wages haven't gone up. Rent has gone up. Taxes gone up. Fuel's gone up. Power's gone up. Property tax, everything goes up, but our wages don't go up. And people will be begging to get that. What's that? What's the term for it? $2,000 a month.
Oh, the CERB or whatever it is.
Not
You
the
mean
serve.
well, they're calling it a social.
Yeah, Ed, you're talking about UBI, and it's like
Yeah,
UBI.
universal
Thank
income.
you.
25,000 a year. Yeah, universal basic income.
And then it gets even worse because if you step out of line and you criticize the government, guess what? You're going to get cut off. Then you don't even have that.
I never.
So that
Coming down the road.
If they try to bring that in, that's never going to happen. So one of the questions on the screen here from Maria says, "This might sound like a stupid question. Was there ever sexual abuse there?"
yes, yes, I'm one of the victims of it. I was forced by a senior student to do sexual acts on another human being. I legitimately was. That individual is now passed on, but a senior NCO walked into my section and forced me to do a sexual act on another student while the whole section watched.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff going on. Maria, I've been very outspoken about all this stuff. I don't speak about that. I leave that up to a person's comfort. But yeah,
Um,
and this
I'm
was
just
all over all the years, a lot of the years. It's happened even when I was back in my day.
so one of the reasons why I was put in the CAS, I'm just gonna back up here for a second, is my father and my mother were drug addicts and alcoholics. My father was also a sexual abuser towards children. So I've been subjected to this sort of issue pretty much a good portion of my life.
So you're a survivor of these heinous acts.
I've seen what hell is. I know that's a bit of a rough word to use these days, but I know what evil is on this earth, and the fact that I know how damaging these individuals can be towards the innocence of a child. It's a wonder that I'm alive today because I'll be honest with you, I shut my heart out to plenty of people. I've shut myself away from a lot of people. I do not trust many people. I do not trust talking to complete strangers sometimes about it. And when people ask, I look at them and I'm like, listen, if you only knew half the shit that I knew, you would be scared out of your fucking mind, or you wouldn't believe me.
What do we do about it?
There's not enough voices. That's the problem. Too many people are silent.
Yeah, and it's not really a what do we do about it. There's only so much the general public can do. It's something, if it hasn't happened to you, you're not going to be able to wrap your head around it and understand it. And, and when you have a government that doesn't want to cooperate and work with survivors, for instance, all of us at Robert Land Academy, where we're just asking the most simplest, the most common sense to put two things which would have stopped a lot of the monsters there. Like, we know it's not going to stop. We see in the Catholic school board, the public school board, we see these predators everywhere. So even with background checks and being licensed by the College of Teachers, that's not going to stop anything. But you know what it does do? It immediately eliminates the obvious monsters such as Mark Bolan's, the Paul
Well,
Saharas, the Arthurs, all of those psychopaths, those sick fucks. It eliminates them at least right off the hop.
the thing is that the Academy hired at least 6 former airborne members, from my knowledge. They hired 2 members of the JTF. They hired one of Italian Special Forces. There's a gentleman that's up in the Northwest Territories that just got charged with child luring and such. He's a
Craig Rudery, and that's the
yes.
second time he's been charged, and he got actually charged while he was waiting to be sentenced on his first charge.
He was one of my staff members at Robert Land. Paul Zara, we all know, him and I actually went face to face, toe to toe. I fought the man as well. So I know these men who are charged or have done these devious things. Like, I stood toe to toe with these men, not knowing what they'd done. So at the time that I was there, I did not know any of these facts of who these men were, what they really were.
Yeah, and that pile of shit, Paul Zahara, he works at the St. Catherine's Boxing Club. So maybe you should go join the club there and go toe to toe with him a little bit more.
He started he started that club.
Oh,
He
oh,
had
that's
his own.
his own
He
club?
started it. Yeah, that's his. That's his own. That's his own.
Oh, geez, I didn't know that. I was looking at it, and he's got the page like he was a coach at Robert Land Academy, and I'm thinking, you sick fuck. Yeah, anyways, I won't even get into that, but he's a real
Yeah.
pile of shit, too.
Anyway, no, him and I went. It's a kind of a funny story, but it's also kind of pathetic. The colors were going up one morning, and him and I had an interaction that basically the whole academy watched. Is I was on labor facing HQ, and I had just turned this kid around who was next to me, who did not know what colors were. He literally fresh out of the box.
I don't know
Turned
what
him
colors
around.
are.
It's when the flags go up. So when the Canadian flag, the Union Jack, and the Ontario provincial flag go up, or the Academy standard. So that's what we call colors. So he gets turned around by me, the kid's standing next to me, and Zara, who's on the other side of the school, and I mean he's on the other side of the parade square of Edie Square, yells, "What are you doing, Nichols?" And I said, "I am turning him around for colors, sir." And he said, "What? This is the exact exchange afterwards. What are you doing?" I said, "You fucking heard me." The second those words came out of my mouth, he started walking across Edie Square with his pace stick, like a little tough, like little chubby teddy bear. And I started walking towards him. Like we were doing this, walking right up, and we clashed. We met at the edge of the parade square and the sports pad where people walk on, right there. And I started feeding him headshots. Like I started punching his head. The whole academy at this point is saluting the flags going up, and they're looking at me like, "You got to be out of your fucking mind to be punching him." But I'm feeding him headshots, like just Like the guy was a madman. Anyway,
No, that's great. That's great. Those freaking psychopaths, those sergeant majors. You guys use different terms than what we used then, but we had, you know, we had Sergeant Major Rowe, we had Sergeant Major Smith, um, psycho fucking paths. Uh, they would beat you with their little fucking walking sticks. And they're like a caliper, Ed. They're about what 4 foot long, hard freaking wood with brass on each end, and they open up like a caliper in a compass set type of thing. And those fuckers would beat us with that. They'd beat you around the legs, the fucking arms, anywhere they felt like hitting you. When they hit you on an angle. So since it's two pieces, it would fucking pinch your skin on impact on top of it, just for a little bit more extra hour pain for their fucking pleasure. They're sadistic psychopath motherfuckers.
yeah, yeah. So my time at the academy, for what it's worth, like you asked at the beginning, it was not grand. I fought everybody, fought students, fought staff. I was bullied. I was targeted. I was basically, by the time I left, I was not the same person. I was actually worse. I was actually tired. I even tried to tell CAS and my parents to get me out all 4 years. Like, you need to get me the hell out of here. This is not the place for me. And nobody listened. Nobody cared. So when a guy cries for, or not cries for help, but when a person says like, you're putting me in a situation where I don't want to be here, and I know it's uncomfortable, and you guys can't read that, it's it's mind blowing that parents would continually do that. It's almost unforgivable.
Well, it is unforgivable, and I know it's been the cause of many students. Everyone I've talked to has no relationship whatsoever with their family any longer. Um, it's another weird thing that kind of jumped out at us one day uh, when there was a realization of that. Um, you know, and the damage. You're absolutely right. You end up becoming a worse kid coming out of that than going into it. I know when I went, I didn't have any disabilities or anything. I didn't have any learning problems or challenges or whatever the fuck they want to call it. I was a happy-go-lucky kid. I always had a smile on my face, and that would be that for that. But once I got sent in there, and then I got out of there and went into the public high school system, look the fucking hell out. When you take somebody, it's like having a caged animal in a cage all its fucking life, and then you just release it into a chicken coop. Let's take a wolf and keep it caged for years, and then release it into a chicken coop. You know what's going to happen then?
Yeah, yeah.
It's going to be crazy.
So one of your commenters here is asking who's Paul Zara. So I'm just gonna let you know, Paul Zara. I'm going to explain how the academy works if nobody's ever explained this. So you have the headmaster. Off to your right, you would have what we would call in the Canadian Armed Forces a regimental sergeant major. That was who Paul Zara was. He basically ran the show for the headmaster. He was the headmaster's right hand man. So he went into the academy as sergeant major. For those who were in the military, that would have been a regimental sergeant major, somebody who actually takes orders from the CO and brings them down to the lower staff. He's essentially an officer, but not an officer. He's still an NCO. He's a senior NCO. He would be classified. The rank he would use would be the Master Chief Warrant Officer, basically the Canadian coat of arms. And then you would have um, your company commanders, your section commanders, and then you have your night staff, which is your master warrant officers and staff sergeants. And then you have your student body after that. The highest rank you get at the academy as a student was a warrant. But
Yeah.
Zara was the Academy Sergeant Major, essentially an RSM, basically the right hand to the headmaster.
Yeah, so people, if you that don't know, NCO and CO, so CO is a commissioned officer, NCO is non-commissioned officer. So that's where that's what those terms mean. Just I'm trying
Yeah.
to keep everybody up to date, kind of thing, so you know what we're talking about.
But yeah, so that's how the academy broke down. So I never made it really past the rank of barman. I was so the cadet ranks are recruit, cadet, bar, double bar, lance corporal, corporal, master corporal, sergeant, and then warrant officer. So it's a mixture of American ranking, which a bar is basically a lieutenant in the American Armed Forces. Double bar is a major or captain or something like that. Lance corporal is British. It's a mixture of Canadian, American, and British. I only made it up to bar. I'm the highest ranking barman ever in the academy because I became the drum major in my third year. So I was fourth in command of the academy. The way it worked was head boy, parade sergeant major, aide de camp, and then you had drum major. So I was given the honor of being the fourth highest ranking student in the academy my third year. I served the head table, which is where you serve all the officers for 4 years. Well, all 4 years I was there, I served every single one of them their meals. And the reason why they put me as head table server, and I was told this later on, is that the worst kid they wanted to keep their eye on. So where's the best place to put them? Right next to them. I was
Sadistic
that much of a
bastards.
troublemaker. Sorry?
Sadistic bastards. I
You're
can't
asking,
to laugh.
you're asking for trouble when you put the most dangerous motherfucker next to you. Because I was a no nonsense character. I took no crap from anyone. I took a bowl of porridge when some kid across from me was jaw jacking at me, and I said, "Listen, if you don't stop me, smash your head into a bowl of porridge." Sure enough, he kept going. Nichols, you're Bubbles, or whatever. He called me a name, and I just grabbed him by the back of his head and just slammed his face right into a bowl of hot porridge. Like, that's how brutal I was. I was a no nonsense character. I
Yeah,
took I took no shit from anybody.
right. And
None.
you see, that's some of the side effects of that school to affecting people today. And you know, you just have people that will pick on you and push you, knowing that this is an issue you have. You know, it may be a side effect from that school or something. Because I've seen it happen, and they'll just keep pushing and pushing to the point where they just fucking snap. And the next thing you know, they're getting the shit knocked out of them. And I just don't see. And you know, these are people, I've seen them do this. I've seen them do it, and they're even aware of it. That, you know, but they just do it. And one of the side effects, at least for me, I don't like authority. I'm not going to bow down to any authority. I don't give a fuck who it is. And this is the thing where I've taken that and I've focused that energy, and this is where I'm with the landowners. This is where I stand up for people. This is where I advocate for kids and human rights. This is where I protect property owners from government overreach, because this is all authority overstepping, and this is the best way I can channel that energy and the way that I am. This is why I'm so active in the courts. This is why I stand up the Constitution. We have Ed there, who's got Pickering in court right now on a constitutional issue. So, yeah, this is what happens, and it's hard to explain to people when you get that sort of a thing uh, in you. It's ingrained in you. There's so many things that are ingrained into you. I don't know, Charles. I don't know if you've noticed. Even on our alumni group, when people speak with each other, have you ever noticed that nobody calls anybody by their first names? They all call each other by their last names. I know with my time while I was there, we were not allowed to call anybody by their first name. It was last
No.
names and last names only.
So the only time I used first names is when I went back as an alumnus. I actually went back as the vice chair of the alumni committee, and it was a bunch of us. It was me and a few officers and a bunch of guys from the National Guards who came up, and we went to Niagara Falls, and it was really weird sitting at a bar with these guys and not using my last name with them because I had always used my last name with them, so it felt awkward. Um, in regards to Maria's question, how do we cope today? We don't. We move past it. A lot of us have moved on with this, Maria. I have years. I do take counseling. Don't get me wrong, but I'll be honest with you. It's not a coping mechanism. It's a more of you have to look at what they did and how they've done it and how it affected us moving forward. There's many of us that are not here today. Now, the one thing that I'm going to say to everybody in this chat and watching this, my time, the generation I was there from 98 to 202, the amount of people who are dead in my 4 years, from my 4 years, is huge. It's massive. There's so many gaps. Like I could say, I think there's at least from my years. So I probably went through at least 200 different other peers. I'd say at least 40 to 50 of them are gone, minimum. And we don't even have all the yearbooks. Keep in mind.
Yeah, so
So
I got my housemaster picture. Everybody in my house back at the time it was Simcoe House, and
simple.
that's what they call it. Eh? So we had Simcoe, Brant,
Yeah,
freaking
yeah.
all the Stratford and all that shit. But it was Simcoe House, and I have a picture of our head freaking loser staff that was there, and I look at that picture and I can literally see I think it's over half from my house on my first year are all dead. None of them, like, they're all dead. There's like literally like four, if that, left still alive. So that's fucking crazy how these stats came up.
Yeah. So, like I said, we're still missing a few yearbooks. So if we were to find those yearbooks, I can probably guarantee the 1999 to '02 line is destroyed, like completely destroyed. I have probably had more phone calls with guys within a week or two of their deaths than I care to admit. Patrick White, who was a good friend of mine, had called me and he actually offered me a job in Sandusky, Ohio, running his cab company, Super Cab in Bowling Green. And a week later, I got a phone call that he had gone, that he had passed. How close I am with a lot of these guys. A lot of the boys, yeah, I still have some enemies out there for sure. And I don't care for that much, anyways. But for a lot of these boys, I'm really close with. I went to school at the time when Mark Lafleur was there, Guy Lafleur's son. There's also, and believe it or not, Bibi Netanyahu's nephew did attend the school. There is a gentleman by the
Did you
name of
say Benjamin Netanyahu?
Yes, Benjamin Netanyahu's nephew did attend the school.
Well, holy
Uh,
shit, this is the first time I heard that. I knew about Shania Twain's brothers being there,
yeah,
but I didn't
so
know about Benjamin.
so Shania had a brother that went there. Guy Lafleur's son went there. Bibi Netanyahu had a nephew that went there. The reason why he was there, there's a gentleman by the name of Aaron Cohen who is a bodyguard to the stars of Hollywood, or he was. He actually came to the academy for 2 years and then he left. He was only hired there to protect a specific individual. Well, that individual was Bibi Netanyahu's nephew, who I still
Well,
talk to today.
Wow,
I'm not going to
crazy.
give out that. I'm not going to give out that name, but I know who it is.
That's just crazy. I'm blown away. I could just hear things in my head right now from a bunch of people. It's crazy.
Well, it's Milikowski, isn't it?
What's that?
Last name would be Milikowski if he's on the brother's side.
No, it's not him. Um,
No,
uh,
Ed.
no, it's not him. It's I can't really give you the name because I would blow his.
Yeah, no,
he's
don't
got a
worry.
multi-billion-dollar business over in Israel right now, and I would nuke his reputation in a heartbeat.
Yeah, no, don't say nothing. But yeah, this is the insanity, Ed. The amount of people and different types of people and all the shit that went on at that school. They literally had a staff and student fight while I was there. They gathered us all in the common.
Well,
Like we didn't have
the
those barracks that you guys got the way you guys got it. We had Simcoe and I believe it was Brant House and what was the
so
other?
my second or third last year, while I was there, there was a full-on riot. Two of them, within the span of about a week and a half of each other. I was walking in from Brock Barracks into Butler, so there was a small path from Brock to Butler, and I was walking straight into Butler, and the second I stepped foot into Butler Barracks, I kid you not, I looked up, and because it's an open space building, Butler, all I saw was a lockbox go from one end of the barracks to like it was like a football. It was football. Like somebody had picked up a football and launched it, and went from one end to the other. A full scale brawl. Like the whole barracks was in uproar. I walked right out. I was like, "Oh my god, what's going on?" But yeah, there was two riots when I was there within the span of about a week and a half. The reason why is some staff member got a brilliant idea of putting on the last castle with James Gandolfini in it.
Yeah, they had the year before I went there. I believe Peter was there, Peter Merrick, and they had the British Bulldog game. I know that was brutal. Uh, a year later, that transformed into what the murder ball. And that murder ball, we had one of these giant, like 10-foot tall, giant fucking inflatable balls. And they would take the smallest kid, I believe that was Chris Kerwin in the school, and they would take the biggest guy, and that was Murdoch. He was a freaking solid brick wall. Not when he came there, he wasn't, but when after a couple of years, he was. And they'd make him run full speed towards the ball and collide at the ball at the same time. And you would see poor little Chris Kerwin just fucking sailing through the air for feet. And it was no holds barred, all out fucking brawls, man. Anything goes. You got seniors kicking the fuck out of the little juniors. You got the staff involved. It was like fucking insanity, man. It was just pure fucking insanity.
Yeah. Some of the things that happened at the academy were pure insanity and chaotic. And in all honesty, I'm gonna be real here. It wasn't necessarily all staff fault. The students really had a part to play in this, and
Sure. And I'm not saying that. I'm just saying it. And those situations I'm talking about were all staff. I'm not
oh
talking.
yeah, 100%. But most of the stuff was driven by students, and it's a shame that nobody investigated this academy long before. Um, like that document that I had authored to the board of governors, I actually still have a copy of it on my computer. The original document was mailed off, obviously, off to the board, but I still have a copy of it kicking around. And I once in a while I read it and I'm like, damn, I kicked the hornet's nest with this. Like I literally did.
Good,
It
good.
uh,
You know,
and
one thing you brought up about being with CAS, Ward of the State or whatever the fuck, Ward of the Crown, whatever.
Crown
Uh,
Board.
Crown Ward, sorry, yeah. So this is what I find crazy. You know, I hear stupid shit from certain people, and they say, "Well, the school now isn't what it was." But the funny thing is, on the I believe it was a CTV interview. At the end of that interview, they sit there and say Zahara has been placed on administrative leave. Well, why would Zahara be on administrative leave? And the only reason why the fucking academy is going to act, and that's the board of governors are going to act, is because they now have the eye of everyone with the lawsuits, the media, and everything else. Now they got to try to look and seem to be upstanding. That, if staff abused people, if staff done something they shouldn't, that they would, put them on administrative leave. Well, the funny thing was, when that fucking school shut down, I called up Family Children's Services, CAS in other words, in St. Catharines, and they said there was a mass investigation on the school. What happened?
Oh yeah.
What's the mass
So
investigation? Is it gone because the school shut down?
I don't know the specifics behind that investigation specifically. Um, I think what had happened was there might have been, and this is going back to 2015. So, from my understanding, this has to do with an incident in 2015. I
No,
don't
no,
know the
no,
details. I
no.
don't know.
This was a result of all the lawsuits and all the complaints.
Oh, it's because okay, so there's three reasons why. One of them is because my lawsuit involves CAS. Specifically, one of my lawsuit actually specifically names CAS verbatim in it and their neglect and liability to not, what is it? It's to not do due care and due diligence for the care of a child. Essentially, it boils down to liability.
They're blowing their duty of care to you.
Yeah, duty of care. So because they have affiliation, money went, tax dollars went to the school. Now they got to account for every dollar. They got to account for why I was there. They got to account for what happened to me there. And did they do their due diligence? Did they go and investigate? Well, I can tell you right now, they didn't until my third year. Like I said, they showed up my third year, and I was sitting across from two females, and they both looked at me like, "What are you wearing?" And I'm like, "Pack coveralls." They're like, "Why are you wearing that?" And I told them they literally got up, went out of the boardroom, went to Bowman's. Like Bowman's office is on the other side of the wall. Went into his office. 20 minutes later, he came out with another. All I saw was a staff member walk in front of the boardroom, going to his office. Like he got paged there, going to the office. Bowman, the two CAS workers walk in, look at me, and they're like, "You take all that shit off right now." They had no idea. Like they thought, oh, it's a military school, blah 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 blah. And then when they realized what was going on, they're like, "Fuck, this kid's getting the." When they met me, I was almost skin and bones, like I was thin. I was being worn down.
Well, there was food deprivation there. We were being starved also. Like, we were being starved right out. I believe our intake of calories was 250 calories a day, and
Well, they
what
had to give you the bare minimum.
and we were burning 5,000 calories a day. That's what was going on while at my time there. I don't know if they continue to do that or not.
So when I was there, if you were on discipline, you had to eat outside in the back of the mess hall. Leave your weight pack on in the freezing fucking cold in the winter, in the wet snow, whatever it was, whatever weather you were eating out back. Bread, butter, bulgar, milk or juice, apple. That was it. Bare
Well,
fucking minimum.
well, so now when we were on discipline, so like I mentioned, the Goon Squad, when I was on Goon Squad, again, didn't matter if it was fucking winter or blizzard, whatever. We were out on the parade square. We didn't get to eat. We had the fucking PT. They'd PT us to death, holding our arms out for fucking however long, push ups, laps, jumping jacks, all sorts of different stress positions. I'd done 500 fucking push ups right at the fucking mess hall before I could even eat. And what we would get was a glass of milk and a slice of bread. That's all we got. So it looks like they improved the punishment food.
A little bit, but when it's frozen, you got to get creative to eat it. Let's just say that. Swearing, I know back in the day it was soap shavings. Us, it was cod liver oil. There's so many different things and
I
stories that I
think we
could
had
say.
soap.
We didn't. We had cod liver oil. There's so many different things that I could say about the place. It's tragic about a lot of the boys that are no longer with us. And a lot of the stuff that has happened to a lot of the men that have moved. Like I get reached out all the time. I have friends and peers that went to the school that reach out to me all the time. They're like, "Man, it's crazy. You're still alive. We thought you would be dead." And I'm like, "Bro, I've been kicking for like 20 years. I've meeting guys. Excuse me. I've met just another guy who literally just got sober 20 years off of fentanyl who went to the school." And he looked at me. He recognized me clear as day. I don't recognize faces. I really don't. I recognize names. I hear a name. I'm like, oh, I know that name. But faces, no. But somebody runs into me. They're looking at me. They're like, I know who you are. You went to Robert Land. And I've been actually asked publicly by complete strangers. Like, I still have a Robert Land Academy sweater here somewhere that I have. It says
Dear Lord, kill it with fire. Quick, kill it with fire.
Actually, where is it? I have it here somewhere. Oh, here. So for those who don't know, can you see that?
Yeah, it looks like a rifle on a badge.
That's a Baker badge. This is what you got for completing the Fall X.
Well, shit, we didn't get anything for completing the fall exercise.
You got that. I got a beret here somewhere too. I got a little bit of everything from the academy. Oh, where is that?
Somebody selling merch online has seen a couple of months.
So that actual merch was actually part of the academy's way of trying to get the alumni to come back.
Crazy. Who the fuck would want to come back to that hell?
So that's the metal pin that you would actually receive along with that little sew-on patch for completing one Fall X. I did 8 of them.
Well, hey, look at it this way. You spilled how many quarts of blood, lost how many pounds of flesh, and hell, they'll give you a couple little pieces of metal back in return.
Here's another one. This was actually made by an alumni.
That should be the Canadian maple leaf there with a middle finger instead of a sword. That's what I envision when I see it.
But yeah, I still have a few things. But anyways, yeah. I mean, my time there was not really, like I said, not really eventful, but it was Well, it was eventful, but it wasn't really productive.
No, and of no benefit to you, obviously, and
No, none.
none at all. Not to me either. It was not to any benefit to me either. And I don't think I seen what there's maybe 2 people. There was I can't remember what student it was. He was successful, made tons of money, nice cars, lavish house. Got rid of the house, got rid of the car, went into an apartment, painted shit all over the wall, got evicted the apartment, went homeless, and committed suicide. So it seems for whatever reason, no matter what, at some point something happens, and even when we're successful, we self-destruct for whatever reason. And I'm not talking everybody in general. I'm just speaking specific to this one. So that's really sad, and that's the effects of a long life, lasting effect of this kind of stuff.
Yes, it is.
So you guys have painted a very horrific picture of what life was like at the Robert Land Academy, and I don't know if I wanted to really watch what was discussed tonight because I can't believe what's going on under my nose.
We were being tame, Ed. We were toning it down. We never go full out.
Yeah, yeah. I'm not going to go full bore, but it's a bit of a. I know it's a bit of a heavy story. Um, but this is what I endured for 4 years of my life. I did know. So when and I know I'm going back here a little bit, but I actually attended during the time that the first the hard incident that most people know is the Matt Brown and Chris Toppy incident. So I attended just shortly after that, and that was still fresh on the minds of the academy. So I do, and Mike Brown, uh, Chris's brother, was there when I was there. So I went through. I met some very interesting individuals. I went through a time where the school literally was at its darkest hour, and they went even darker. So it's crazy. It's madness, honestly.
Yeah,
No accountability. That's why this happens.
well, we're
Yeah,
trying to get accountability now, Ed, and we don't tell you the truth. Don't give a fuck about these lawsuits and the money. At least for myself, give me 10 minutes with these motherfuckers. I'm good. I'll drop everything. But that
well,
that won't happen, and that won't change any of the events, and that won't benefit me in any way, shape, or form. So the only accountability we have left is our criminal complaints that we got going
and that's the thing. The lawsuits, I don't think are going to create any accountability. The only thing that I'm seeing from my vantage point, so for most of you guys who are just suing for most of the guys that are just suing the academy, they'll only see a monetary value. The thing is on my end of the stick is I may see a public apology because of CAS's involvement. That I'm probably the only individual that may see any sort of apology.
So one thing I want to point out, and you probably already know, but people do not know, is you know um, CES, facts, whatever. They try to fucking claim that they're charities, and
They're not.
they're not. The second they start getting government funding, they're an agent of the crown, and that's the bottom line. It's government again. People keep asking, how did they get away from this? Look at this whole thing from the big picture. Canadian Armed Forces, PC Party of Ontario, Mega Regional Police, Peel Regional Police, fucking Halton Regional Police, York Regional Police. There's previous police chiefs in Belleville, for fuck's sakes. You tell me how they got away with it. They got a fucking big wall, a big blue shield around them, protecting them in every freaking angle.
Yeah. So there's been the board of governors. If you go back, there's always been either a police chief, armed forces member, or some sort of superintendent from the police chief, board of chief police. If we get, I don't know if we'll ever see it or ever get a list of them, but if you were to get a list of the former board of governor members, you'd be very surprised.
All right, guys. This is kind of flooring me tonight's show. It's very uncomfortable, to say the least.
What's the matter, Ed? Is you shocked that I'm this fucked up because I'm just this fucked up, or about a kid I'm not fucked up at all? Yes.
I think you're doing all right, Stefanos. But and this is just one case of probably thousands.
Oh, there's
Well, absolutely.
3,000 students, I believe, through the course of all the years that this school was in place. So yeah, you are right. There is thousands.
There's about 3,200 students that walk through the school. Right now, we're probably ballparking around almost 10% of those guys are gone,
Yeah.
roughly. And that's just a rough number. Sorry. Anyway,
Final comments, please. We've gone an hour and a half already.
sure. Well, thank you for having me on, guys. I want to say thank you to you, Ed, and you, Stefanos, and to all your guests. Thank you for allowing me to share my story, and hope I didn't scare any of you, but that's me in a nutshell from the Robert Land side.
Thanks, bro. Thanks for coming on and sharing this. I know it's tough. These are some very private, personal experiences. And stay strong. And you always got brothers. You got me. You got a lot of us. You got a lot of brothers. So your family's grown. We may have been abused, but the family's grown.
Thank you
Keep
very
on,
much, guys.
keep on surviving. Thanks for coming on.
Not a problem. Take care.
Bye. Final comment. How do we stop this in the future?
God, Ed, I don't know. I don't even know what's going on. But no, I got no comment. This is bullshit that's gone on there. It's bullshit that's going on now. The most horrific of crimes that have happened there. And like we say, we're not kidding. I always like to try to make some a little bit fun of some. I don't like having a show and it's just straight serious. I like to put a little humor in it here and there. But I'm going to stress that I wasn't being humorous when I said, when we speak about this, we're toning it down. We're not putting the real bad stuff that's happened out there. So uh, it's a lot worse than you know. It's a lot worse than you can imagine. It's a lot worse than you'll ever know. And and I'm grateful for Charles. I'm grateful for Jared, freaking everybody, Peter. Like there's just so many of us. Just yeah, it's crazy. I'm grateful for everybody that stays in contact. All of us working together. Everybody who's sharing their stories out there. It's awareness. We got to pressure the living shit out of the government. They should be ashamed of themselves. That PC party of all parties should be fucking ashamed of themselves. That coward little goof Surhoff of Niagara West, he's a fucking little coward. You got Doug Ford, he's a big fat coward. And you got Education Minister Paul Calandri, should be absolutely ashamed of.
And this is going on underneath their noses, eh? And I don't know if I froze or Stefanos froze. Guys, if you find any value in this, share it out. We're getting heavily shadow banned. Nobody wants the truth to get out to the public. See you guys next Thursday. Thanks for tuning in.